The bass thumped through the crowded frat house like a heartbeat on steroids, lights flashing in sync with the chaos of bodies grinding and laughing under the haze of cheap beer and sweat. I, Alex Rivera, had no business being there. Introverted, openly gay, and more comfortable with a book than a red Solo cup. But my roommate Jake Harlan had dragged me along, insisting it was time I lived a little. Then, in the middle of it all, as we stood on the makeshift dance floor, Jake turned to me with eyes wild from too many shots, grabbed my face, and kissed me hard, right there in front of everyone, sending shockwaves through my world that I never saw coming. I froze, my mind reeling as his lips pressed against mine, tasting of whiskey and regret already forming. The crowd around us erupted into cheers and whoops, but all I could hear was the pounding in my chest, the sudden clarity that this wasn't a joke. This was Jake, the straight-as-an-arrow football jock from a conservative Texas family, crossing a line he'd always sworn was unbreakable. When he pulled back, his face flushed not just from alcohol but from something deeper. He whispered, "Alex, I think I've been lying to myself." We stumbled out into the cool night air, the party noise fading behind us as we walked back to our dorm in silence. Jake's hand brushed mine once, tentatively, but he yanked it away like it had burned him. Back in our room, he collapsed onto his bed, staring at the ceiling. "That was stupid," he muttered. "Forget it happened." But I couldn't. I'd had a crush on him since freshman year, when we were randomly paired as roommates. Jake was everything I wasn't. Confident, athletic, with that easy charm that made everyone love him. He'd dated girls, partied hard, and never once given me a hint that he saw me as anything but a buddy. Now, this kiss hung between us like a grenade with the pin pulled. The next morning, Jake acted like nothing had changed. He slapped me on the back, joked about the hangover, and headed to practice without a word about the night before. I tried to play it cool, but inside, questions swirled. Was it just the booze, or had I missed signs all along? Our friendship had always been solid. We'd shared late-night talks about life, his pressure from his dad to go pro in football, my struggles coming out to my own family back in California. But now, every glance felt loaded, every laugh forced. I decided to test the waters that evening, casually bringing up the party. "So, about last night," I started, heart racing. Jake's face hardened. "Dude, drop it. It was a mistake." His voice was sharp, defensive, like he'd rehearsed it. But his eyes betrayed him. They darted away, filled with a fear I'd never seen in him. That's when I realized this wasn't just about me. Jake was terrified of what that kiss meant for him. His family was old school, church every Sunday. His dad a former military man who preached traditional values. Jake had told me stories of how his older brother got disowned for dropping out of college. Imagine what coming out would do. I backed off, but the seed was planted. Over the next few days, tension built like a storm cloud. Jake started staying out late, avoiding our room, and when he was there, he'd blast music to drown out any chance of conversation. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I confronted him as he came in reeking of smoke. "Jake, we need to talk about this. You can't just kiss me and pretend it didn't happen." He spun around, anger flashing. "What do you want me to say, Alex? That I'm gay? That I've been fighting this for years? Because I don't know." His voice cracked, and for the first time, I saw the cracks in his facade. The boy who'd been molded into the perfect son, the star athlete, now crumbling under the weight of his own truth. We argued, words flying like daggers. Me pushing for honesty, him retreating into denial. By the end, he stormed out, leaving me alone with the echo of his confession. The ripple effects started small but grew. Rumors spread through campus, whispers about that kiss at the party. Jake's teammates ribbed him, calling it a drunk bro moment. But I could see it eating at him. He threw himself into training, pushing his body to the limit, as if exhaustion could silence the doubts. Meanwhile, I wrestled with my own emotions. Excitement mixed with fear. What if this ruined our friendship? What if he resented me for forcing the issue? I confided in my best friend, Mia, who warned me to be careful. "Jake's got a lot to lose, Alex. Families like his don't take this lightly." Then came the call from Jake's dad. I overheard it one afternoon. Mr. Harlan's booming voice on speaker, grilling Jake about his grades, his game, and casually dropping, "Heard some weird stuff about you and that roommate of yours. Better not be any funny business." Jake laughed it off, but his face paled. That night he sat me down. "Alex, I like you. More than I should. But this can't happen. My family would kill me." His words stung, a mix of hope and heartbreak. I nodded, understanding the stakes, but deep down, I knew this was just the beginning of the storm. As weeks passed, Jake's internal battle intensified. He'd steal glances when he thought I wasn't looking, his touches lingering a second too long. One evening, after a brutal loss on the field, he came home defeated. We talked for hours, and in a moment of vulnerability, he leaned in again. This time, sober, deliberate. The kiss was softer, real, but he pulled away just as quickly. "I can't do this to you," he said. "Or to myself." I pressed him. Why not? What was he so afraid of? He spilled it all, his dad's expectations, the fear of losing scholarships, the shame drilled into him from childhood sermons about sin. It was a raw, emotional purge, leaving us both exhausted. But the pressure mounted. Jake's mom called next, excited about Thanksgiving plans, mentioning how proud they were of their straight-A son. The irony burned. Jake started pulling away again, dating a girl from his psych class to prove something to himself. Seeing them together twisted a knife in my gut. Was I just an experiment? The doubt festered, leading to our first real fight. "You're using me as a safety net," I accused, "while you play straight for the world." Jake fired back, "You don't get it, Alex. This isn't some fairy tale. Coming out could end everything for me." The airport buzzed with holiday travelers, families reuniting with hugs and laughter. But Jake stood rigid beside me as we waited for his parents' flight. He'd insisted I come along, saying it would look suspicious if I didn't, but his grip on the steering wheel during the drive had been white-knuckled. When Mr. and Mrs. Harlan emerged from the crowd, him tall and stern like Jake, her warm but watchful. Jake plastered on a smile, but I saw the strain in his eyes, the invisible weight of the secret we now shared. Over dinner that night at a cozy Italian place near campus, the conversation flowed easily at first. Mrs. Harlan asked about my major, complimenting my California vibe, while Mr. Harlan grilled Jake on football stats. But then, casually, his dad dropped the bomb. "So Jake, when are you bringing home a nice girl? Your mom's been hinting about grandkids." Jake choked on his pasta, his face turning red. I kept my expression neutral, but inside, anger simmered. How could they be so blind to who he really was? Jake mumbled something about focusing on school, but the seed of discomfort was planted. Back at the dorm, with his parents in a nearby hotel, Jake paced like a caged animal. "They can't know, Alex. It would destroy them." I argued back, my voice low but firm. "Hiding is destroying you. Look at yourself. You're a mess." He stopped, eyes meeting mine with a desperation that broke my heart. In that moment, he pulled me close, not for a kiss, but for a hug that felt like goodbye. "I wish it was different," he whispered, but wishes weren't enough. Actions were, and Jake was still choosing silence. The next day, we toured campus, his parents beaming with pride at the stadium, the frat house. But whispers followed us. Campus gossip hadn't died down. One of Jake's teammates spotted us and yelled, "Hey, Harlan! Still partying like that night with Rivera?" Mr. Harlan's brow furrowed. "What night?" Jake brushed it off as a joke, but the suspicion lingered. That evening, over Thanksgiving prep in our cramped kitchen, tensions boiled. Mrs. Harlan found a photo on Jake's phone. Us at the party, arms around each other, pre-kiss but intimate enough to raise questions. "Who's this?" she asked innocently. Jake snatched it away, but the damage was done. Alone later, Jake confessed his fear. "If they find out, I'll lose everything: tuition, their support, maybe even them." I shared my own story, how coming out to my liberal parents had been hard but freeing. "It's worth it for your truth," I said, but Jake shook his head. "Not everyone has that luxury." Our debate turned heated, voices rising until his parents knocked, concerned. We faked smiles, but the crack was widening. Thanksgiving dinner was a powder keg, gathered around a table laden with turkey and fixings. The facade held until Mr. Harlan toasted to family values and tradition. Jake's hand trembled on his fork. Then, in a moment of raw courage or madness, he blurted, "Dad, Mom, there's something I need to tell you." The room froze. He glanced at me, drawing strength, and said, "I'm gay. And Alex, he's more than a roommate." The silence was deafening. Mrs. Harlan's eyes welled with tears, a mix of shock and sorrow. Mr. Harlan's face twisted in anger. "What the hell are you talking about? This some kind of phase?" Jake stood his ground, voice shaking. "No, Dad, it's who I am." The argument exploded. Accusations of influence aimed at me, Bible quotes thrown like weapons, threats of cutting him off. I tried to intervene, defending Jake, but Mr. Harlan turned on me. "You did this, corrupted my son." Jake defended me, but the damage was irreparable. His parents stormed out, vowing to fix this. In the aftermath, Jake collapsed, sobbing in my arms. "I did it, Alex, but at what cost?" I held him, whispering reassurances, but doubt crept in. Had I pushed too hard? The next morning, his parents returned, calmer but resolute. Mrs. Harlan hugged him, whispering she loved him but needed time. Mr. Harlan was colder. "You're on your own now, son. No more handouts." Jake nodded, a mix of relief and terror. Our relationship deepened that night, tentative steps toward something real, but shadowed by loss. Campus life resumed, but Jake was changed. More withdrawn, focused on scholarships to replace his parents' support. Rumors evolved into outright bullying. Some teammates shunned him, calling him slurs behind his back. One night, after a practice where he was benched for distraction, Jake came home furious. "This is what truth gets you," he yelled. We fought again. Me urging resilience, him regretting the confession. Maybe I should have stayed in the closet. The words hurt, implying our connection wasn't worth the pain. Then came the betrayal. Desperate for his dad's approval, Jake reached out, agreeing to talk it out. Over a weekend visit home, he returned distant. "They want me to see a therapist," he said flatly, "to figure things out." I exploded. "Conversion therapy? Jake, that's abuse." He defended it weakly. "It's not like that, just counseling." But I saw the manipulation, his family's grip tightening. Our bond strained, intimacy replaced by arguments. One evening, he admitted, "I told them it was a mistake, that you're just a friend." The words sliced deep, a punch to the gut. "Why?" I demanded, tears stinging. "Because I can't lose them, Alex. They're my family." The choice was clear, them over us. I walked out, heart shattered, questioning if love was worth this endless fight. Jake chased after, pleading, but the trust was broken. We coexisted in uneasy silence. The room that once felt like home, now a battlefield of unspoken regrets. Snow blanketed the campus like a shroud, mirroring the chill that had settled between Jake and me. We'd barely spoken since his confession of downplaying our relationship to his parents. Each day a minefield of avoided glances and curt exchanges. But beneath the surface, Jake's turmoil raged. He'd skip classes, stare blankly at his phone, waiting for calls that never came. I wanted to hate him for the betrayal, but seeing him unravel, I couldn't. Love doesn't switch off that easily. One afternoon, Mia dragged me to coffee, her eyes full of concern. "Alex, you look like hell. Is Jake worth this?" I sighed, admitting the pain. "He chose them over me, but I get it. Family's everything to him." She shook her head. "No, you deserve someone who chooses you fully." Her words echoed as I returned to the dorm, finding Jake packing a bag. "Going home for break," he said tersely. "To talk things out." Panic surged. "Jake, don't let them brainwash you." He snapped. "They're not monsters, Alex. They're scared, like I was." The argument escalated, old wounds reopening. "You already betrayed me once," I shouted. "What's next?" Pretending I'm nothing? Jake's face crumpled. I'm trying to fix this for us, if I can make them understand. But I saw the delusion. His family wasn't bending. He left anyway, leaving me alone with the ghosts of what we'd built. Over break, texts were sporadic. Miss you, followed by silence. I spent days with my family, their acceptance a stark contrast, but it only amplified the ache for Jake. He returned changed, quieter, more resolute. The therapy helped, he said one night, avoiding my eyes. Helped with what? Depressed. Clarifying things. Maybe I'm not. You know. The words were a slap. Be? Gay? What, Jake? He exploded. I don't know. They say it's confusion from stress. I recognized the script, his parents' words in his mouth. This is bullshit, I said. You're letting them erase you. The fight turned ugly, accusations flying. Me calling him a coward, him labeling me pushy. In the heat, he said the unforgivable. Maybe we should have never started this. Hurt turned to action. I started pulling away, spending time with friends, even flirting with a guy from class to numb the pain. Jake noticed jealousy flaring. One night, he confronted me. So, moving on already? I retorted. You did first. The tension snapped. He grabbed my arm, pulling me close. I can't lose you too, he whispered, but I pushed back. You already have. Yet, in that moment, vulnerability one, we really talked about the fears driving his choices. Jake admitted the therapy was hell, pushing normalcy he didn't feel. But walking away from family, it's impossible. Reconciliation was tentative, stolen moments amid the chaos. But society piled on. A campus article highlighted LGBTQ athletes, mentioning Jake anonymously. It sparked backlash. His coach pulled him aside. Focus on the game, son. Distractions like this. Teammates iced him out, pranks turning vicious. A slur scrawled on his locker. Jake toughed it out, but the toll showed. Sleepless nights, weight loss. I supported him, but resentment simmered. Why fight for someone still half in? Then the ultimate test. His brother's wedding. Jake was best man. Family expecting the old him. He begged me to understand. I have to play the part. Just this once. I refused. No more hiding. He went alone, and photos surfaced online. Jake with a bridesmaid, arm around her, smiling. Jealousy burned, but worse was the text. It was nothing, but Dad was watching. Betrayal again. When he returned, I was done. Choose Jake, them or us. He chose neither, retreating into isolation. Days blurred into a standoff until a crisis hit. His dad had a heart scare, blaming stress from Jake's issues. Guilt crushed him. This is my fault, he sobbed. I comforted him, but questioned. Was loving him enabling his pain? We sought counseling together, a neutral space to unpack. The therapist challenged Jake. What do you want? Not what they want. Tears flowed as he admitted. Alex, but without losing everything. Progress was slow, but glimmers appeared. Jake skipped a family call, choosing a date with me instead. Simple, a walk in the snow, hands intertwined. This feels right, he said, but reality intruded. Scholarships threatened by conduct clauses, friends drifting. One evening, after a heated team meeting where he defended a gay teammate, Jake came home triumphant yet weary. I stood up for us, he said. Pride swelled, but so did fear. The backlash was coming. It arrived via email. His parents cutting ties fully. No more contact until he repents. Jake broke down, the final straw. I've lost them for good. I held him, whispering, You have me. But was that enough? The night ended in resolve. Jake would live his truth. Consequences be damned. Our bond strengthened, but scars remained. Trust fragile, futures uncertain. Spring brought renewal to campus. Flowers blooming, students shedding winter layers. But for Jake and me, it was a season of reckoning. With his family's silence deafening, Jake threw himself into advocacy, joining the campus LGBTQ group, speaking at panels about his journey. It was brave, but each event left him drained. the applause a poor substitute for parental approval. I admired his growth, yet couldn't shake the fear that one call from home could undo it all. One afternoon, as we studied in the library, Jake's phone buzzed. A text from his mom. "We miss you. Can we talk?" His face lit up, then darkened with caution. "What do I do?" he asked. I advised carefully, "Set boundaries. Don't let them pull you back." He agreed, arranging a video call. I listened from the next room, heart pounding. The conversation started warm, reminiscences of childhood, but veered sharp. "We're praying for you, Jake. This phase." He pushed back. "It's not a phase, Mom. It's me." Tears on both sides, but no resolution. She ended with, "Your dad needs time." The call ignited old conflicts. Jake second-guessed everything. "Maybe I can compromise. Date girls publicly or something." I was stunned. "That's not compromise, that's lying." The argument reignited the firestorm, me accusing him of regression, him defending family loyalty. "You grew up accepted, Alex." I didn't. Truth stung. My privilege blinded me to his depths of pain. We slept apart that night, the divide widening. Reconciliation came via a surprise. Jake organized a dinner with my family, visiting for the weekend. Seeing their warmth, hugs, questions about us as a couple, moved him to tears. "This is what I want," he confessed later. "But mine won't give it." Inspired, he wrote a letter to his parents, pouring out his heart. The years of hiding, the love he felt for me, the plea for acceptance. Sending it was cathartic, but waiting agonizing. Meanwhile, societal pressures mounted. Jake's internship offer came with a caveat, a conservative firm, whispers of background checks. "They might find out," he worried. I encouraged transparency. "Own it." He did, disclosing in the interview follow-up. The response rescinded. Devastation hit hard. "See? Truth costs," he said bitterly. I countered, "Hiding costs more." But the setback fueled doubt, leading to a dark period. Jake withdrawing, questioning our future. "What if I'm dragging you down?" The turning point was a campus protest against anti-LGBTQ policies. Jake spoke publicly for the first time, sharing his story. The kiss, the coming out, the losses. The crowd cheered. But afterward, a heckler shouted slurs. Jake stood tall, but back home he crumbled. Why fight when it hurts so much? I held him, sharing my own scars, from high school bullying to family friends who ghosted. Because the alternative is worse, living a lie. That night, vulnerability bridged us. We recommitted, deciding to face whatever came together. But fate tested us further. Jake's brother called, furious. "You're killing Dad with this. Come home, apologize." Pressure built. Family reunion planned. Expectations high. Jake wavered. "One visit to explain." I feared the trap. "Don't go alone." He insisted. "I need to face them." The weekend was hell for me. Pacing, waiting. He returned broken. "They ambushed me with a pastor. Tried to pray it away." Rage boiled. He'd endured humiliation for a sliver of hope. "But I walked out," he said proudly. "Told them I choose myself, and you." The victory was bittersweet. Full estrangement followed. No more contact. Jake grieved, mourning the family he'd lost. Therapy helped, unpacking layers of guilt and shame. Our relationship evolved, deeper, more honest, but marked by the costs. Friends noticed the change. Some supported, others distanced, revealing true colors. One night, after a double date with Mia and her girlfriend, Jake reflected, "This is worth it. You are." As graduation neared, decisions loomed. Jobs, moves. Jake landed a position in New York, LGBTQ-friendly firm. I got an offer there too. "Let's do this," he said, excitement genuine. But shadows lingered. A voicemail from his dad. "Son, if you change your mind." Jake deleted it, but the temptation flickered. I confronted. "Still holding on?" He admitted, "Part of me always will, but I'm choosing forward." The ceremony was emotional, diplomas in hand, families cheering. Mine enveloped us in hugs, Jake's absence a glaring void. Afterward, he proposed a toast to new beginnings, but beneath, tension brewed, his lingering grief manifesting in mood swings, arguments over trivialities masking deeper fears. One explosive night, "What if I regret this?" he yelled. "Regret us?" I shot back. The question hung, unanswered, as he stormed out. Reunion came days later, raw honesty prevailing. Jake apologized. "I'm scared of the unknown." I shared my fears too, losing him to resentment. We vowed communication, no more secrets. The move to New York symbolized hope, a fresh start away from old ghosts. Packing, Jake found old photos, family mementos. "Burn them?" he joked, but tears fell. "Keep them," I said, "as reminders of what you fought for." New York's skyline glittered like a promise unkept, our tiny apartment a sanctuary amid the hustle. Months in, Jake thrived at work, his confidence blooming in a city that celebrated diversity. But echoes of home haunted him, nightmares of disapproval, days lost to what-ifs. I supported, but the strain showed. Our arguments sharpened, love tested by the grind of real life. One evening, after a long day, Jake dropped the bomb. "My mom's in town, wants to meet." Shock rippled through me. "After everything?" He nodded. "She reached out. Says she's been thinking." Hope warred with caution. "What about your dad?" "Not coming. This is her." We debated. Opportunity or trap? Jake decided to go, inviting me. Together or not at all. The cafe meeting was tense. Mrs. Harlan, older, weary, hugging Jake awkwardly. "I've missed you," she said, eyes on me warily. Conversation tiptoed. Work, weather, avoiding the elephant. Then, she addressed it. "I don't understand, but I love you." Tears flowed. Jake grasped her hand. "That's all I need." But conditions lurked. "Your dad, he's stubborn. Praying you'll come back." Jake stiffened. "Back to what?" "Hiding," she sighed. "To family." The plea hung. Jake glanced at me, conflicted. Post-meeting turmoil reigned. "She wants reconciliation," he said. "But on their terms?" I asked. "Partial. Visits, no lifestyle talk." It felt like compromise, but I saw the erosion. "That's not acceptance." Argument ensued. Jake defending hope, me fearing regression. "Don't make me choose again," he pleaded. "You already are," I retorted. The night ended in silence, a chasm opening. Weeks passed, Jake maintaining contact, calls, texts, small bridges. I tolerated, but jealousy brewed. Why fight for them when he'd barely fought for us? One call overheated. Overhearing her suggest, meeting nice girls. I snapped. "End it, Jake." He refused. "She's trying." The betrayal felt fresh. Trust fractured anew. Crisis peaked when his dad called. Health failing. "Come home, son, before it's too late." Jake agonized. "What if I regret not going?" I urged. "Go, but as you are." He flew out, alone, insisting space. Days of radio silence tortured me, imagining coercion, reversal. He returned subdued. "Dad's bad." Begged forgiveness, but only if I change. Jake refused. Told him I love you. That's final. Pride swelled, but so did sorrow. He'd said goodbye, perhaps forever. The decision crystallized his path. Full commitment to us. We sought couples therapy, unpacking damages, his internalized homophobia, my insecurities. Progress healed wounds. Intimacy returned, deeper for the scars. Jake advocated publicly, writing an op-ed on family rejection's toll. Response mixed. Support flooded, but hate mail too. One threat shook him. "Watch your back, sinner." Fear gripped, we installed security, but the cost weighed. Life stabilized, promotions, friends, a rhythm. But a final twist. His mom visited again, alone. Over dinner, she apologized. "I was wrong, seeing you happy. With Alex." Tears, hugs, a breakthrough. Jake wept. "Thank you." It wasn't full dad absent, but a start. I welcomed her, cautiously, seeing Jake's joy. Yet happiness came priced. Jake's health suffered, stress-induced anxiety, therapy ongoing. I questioned, was our love worth his suffering? He affirmed, every day. As years hinted, we built onward, engagement rings, plans for a future unshackled. In the end, Jake's journey, from denial to defiance, left indelible marks. He paid dearly. Family fractured, career hurdles, inner peace hard-won. But in our quiet moments, hand in hand, he whispered, I'd choose it again. Was Jake's decision to come out, despite the devastating losses, ultimately the right one?